If you are trying to decide where to sell your handmade products online, you are going to hear a ton of opinions. Shopify gives you more control. Amazon has more traffic. The newer handmade only marketplaces out there are more aligned with your values. And Etsy has way too many sellers and the algorithm is rigged. Here is what all of that advice leaves out. Almost none of it takes into account what it actually takes to build a profitable handmade business from scratch. Hi, I'm Sarah, and I help handmade sellers build consistent, search-driven sales without relying on paid ads or social media. I've made almost $1 million on Etsy personally, and I have helped hundreds of sellers build shops that generate real, repeatable income. I have watched sellers try to build on every platform out there, and I have a very clear opinion on where beginners should start. So today I'm going to walk you through an honest comparison of Etsy versus the other platforms that small businesses normally start out on: Shopify, Amazon, and the newer handmade focused marketplaces. So you can make this decision based off what matters for you and where your business is right now. All right, so here is the single biggest reason that beginners should start on Etsy. The buyers are already there. Etsy has over 85 million buyers coming to the platform every single year. They are actively searching for products every hour. They have their credit cards out. They are buying. They're not browsing. And your job as a new seller is to just show up in front of the searches that they're already completing on the platform. And that's a completely different problem than what you are going to face on many of these other platforms. On Shopify, it's a website. You have to build all of your own traffic from scratch every single visit. On a new marketplace platform with 50,000 sellers and zero marketing budget, you are sitting there waiting for buyers who may never come because they're not on the platform yet. On Etsy, though, the buyers are already there. They're really consistent and they're spending money. You do not have to create demand. It's already there. You just have to get pinned. So for a beginner with limited time, a limited budget, and no existing audience, that built-in buyer traffic is the single most valuable thing that any platform can offer you. It's the difference between opening a shop on a busy street and opening one in the middle of nowhere and hoping people eventually find you. Let's talk about Shopify specifically next because it's a great platform. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. It's really the gold standard when it comes to making a website for your product business. But it's not a great starting point for most handmade sellers, and here's why. When you build a Shopify store, you are building a website. And a website with no traffic means no sales. You are responsible for every single visitor that comes through the doors of your shop. That might be through social media ads, that might be through organic social media, maybe through Google SEO or email marketing. All of those cost a lot of time, a lot of money, not to mention the fact that you have to design the whole website from scratch, and that can be brutal, especially for beginners. I know a seller who had her cart button on her website on the left side instead of the right, and that one tiny design decision tanked her conversion rate. She had no idea why her sales were so bad until she brought in a professional developer that she paid thousands of dollars to, and the fix was moving that one button. That is the reality of owning your own website and doing all of your own marketing. Every little thing affects your conversion rate, and you are responsible for knowing what to test and what to fix. So all of that traffic that you do earn gets you a sale. And when people say Etsy is too saturated to bother with, I want to point something out. The entire internet is saturated. Instagram is saturated. Pinterest is saturated. Google is saturated. If you are planning to drive your own traffic to your website through social media, through Google SEO, you are not escaping that competition. If anything, it's worse. Plus, on Etsy, the checkout experience, the cart, the sales tax, all of that is handled for you. You focus on your listings and your keywords, and Etsy handles the rest. Shopify is a smart next step once your Etsy shop is profitable, is growing consistently, and you are ready to diversify. As a bonus, maybe you even have an email list that you use Etsy to grow, full of customers that will then shop your website. It is not the right first move, though, for the majority of sellers. Let's talk about Amazon next, and we'll start with Amazon Handmade. This really was launched with a lot of fanfare, but Amazon has largely stopped actively promoting it. Buyers do not go to Amazon specifically to look for handmade items, not the way they do on Etsy. Amazon's homepage, the ad placements, its search algorithm, none of it is built around surfacing handmade product. It's built around volume, and as a handmade seller, you can't compete with that. And to get any meaningful traction on Amazon, because I sold a ton on Amazon, but you have to be able to play that volume game, and you have to use FBA or fulfilled by Amazon. That means you're shipping your inventory to Amazon's warehouses, and you're paying their storage and fulfillment fees on top of their already high fees. The fee structure is significantly more expensive and more complicated than Etsy. And as a handmade seller, making your products one at a time, that math gets painful real quick. Getting your listings to rank on Amazon is also harder than it is on Etsy. The competition is much steeper. The pay to play dynamic through Amazon ads is really difficult to overcome sometimes. And you are fighting for visibility against sellers with massive budget. Amazon is definitely a viable platform for some sellers who can scale the way they make their products, but it is not a smart starting point for a seller who's still building. All right, so if you are new and trying to figure out how to build your Etsy shop from the ground up the right way from the start, I have a free resource that walks you through it. It's called the 5-part framework for getting daily sales on Etsy. And it covers the foundation that every new shop needs. The link is in the description, so make sure to grab the guide. All right, so let's talk about the newer handmade marketplaces that are out there, because I have been seeing this same pattern for years, and it's really important that if you get onto one of these platforms, you know what you're in for. And I know there's a whole conversation in the Etsy communities about alternative platforms that are really built for handmade products. I 100% understand the appeal, and I hope some of these platforms continue to grow and succeed, because I think more competition in this sphere would be an amazing thing. But here's the practical reality. Buyer traffic on every single one of these platforms is incredibly small when compared to Etsy. And if you have bills to pay, if you want to pay yourself, if you want to be paid for your time, the reality is that a marketplace that's built on integrity does not help you if the buyers aren't there yet. And as a new seller, if you want to make money quickly, you don't have the time to wait for them to grow their audience. The principles that matter here do not change. You need buyers who are already searching for what you sell if you want to get sales quickly. Right now, at a meaningful scale, Etsy has them and no other handmade marketplace does. Again, I hope that changes in the future, but none of them are there right now. And before we're done for the day, I want to be super direct with you here, because I see beginners making this mistake over and over again. And that's that they try to build on multiple platforms all at the same time. The problem with this is every platform that you add splits your time and attention. And let's be honest, your time is probably limited. But the sellers on Etsy who build authority, who build consistent revenue, and who get ranking in their searches quickly, they're adding listings, they're building out their product lines. They are being consistent week after week after week. When you are also trying to do 10 other things, that becomes really difficult. You're not giving Etsy enough data to work with quickly enough to start ranking for the keywords that you want to rank for, and that means buyers don't see you. So my recommendation is to start on Etsy, make it profitable. Then you can start expanding when you have the time and the money to do so. You can take time to build your own website, which takes many more hours than most sellers think it's going to, but it doesn't matter because you already have money coming in regularly from Etsy. You can hop on Amazon and spend a ton of money on inventory, which you need to do to rank on Amazon. That means you can scale and grow faster on that marketplace when you're already profitable. It's like you're making every single decision from a business that's already successful, and that's the easiest way to scale. All right, so just as a reminder, every single platform out there has its trade-offs. But when you weigh the pros and cons, Etsy becomes the clear favorite as far as a marketplace that you can hop onto quickly, that you can make money from quickly, and that really has the lowest fees for the amount of traffic that they can give you. Build it out first, get it successful, and the other platforms will be ready for you when you're ready. All right, so drop a comment below and let me know which platform you're considering alongside Etsy. And if you are ready to build your Etsy shop right from the start, make sure to grab my 5-part framework for getting daily sales on Etsy in the description. It is the foundation that every new shop needs before anything else. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video.